Can we start?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome, friends, for this first session on conservation agriculture and urban agriculture. I am not an expert in both of them. I have just introduced. I am, most of you know me, and those who don't know me new. I'm an agriculture engineer, and I specialize on electronics and control systems. And we conducted last year 2 series of webinar series with ISAE on the backbone side, and Dr. Indramani will explain that probably later. And the concept of conservation agriculture first came to me when 3 years back when I visited Orlog Institute of South Asia, PISA, at Ludhiana, to help them with some wireless sensor interfacing. And from that moment, I'm going through different farmers levels in Vidarbha and everything. Basically, I feel also the need is very great that we should stop using more fertilizers. We must save on fertilizer as well as water. And nature is very important, so we have to protect environment. This all of us are in line. Only how to do is the question arose. And before a couple of months, my guru, Professor Gajan Singh, was sending me a lot of information on conservation agriculture, what is to do. So I went through a lot of them. I'm fully convinced that we should have a series to discuss both on this topic. So the objective of this webinar series is to just open up the topic with all the experts. And this particular forum, which is not associated with any organization or something, so it's free. So people can freely express their views. And the objective is for us to see that it's taken up by different organizations in a strong way for these two aims. The first one is conservation agriculture for the environment, like I told you, and about the soil and ourselves. And second one is we have to produce more for the food, for food security. There are technologies we have where we need more food near the cities, near the towns, where the urban areas. So we have technology which can produce with less inputs the maximum. So with this only few words, I would, the program we have two of the experts speaking, and then we have also some farmers view. I would kindly request Dr. Surendra Singh from AMMA, this Agricultural Machinery Manufacturers Association. He has a lot of experience in both conservation agriculture. He's from Ludhiana, and he also has industry exposure. The idea is, like for example, I remember when we worked on a small tracker device for the Happy Seeder. So he is expert in all the complete, and I think he's probably a correct person to open the welcome all of you, the speakers, everybody. So, and the rest of the schedule he will tell. Thank you very much. Welcome, Dr. Surendra Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Saif. Namaskar, good morning and good evening to everyone. So, as Dr. Syed told, today's webinar's topic is conservation agriculture, urban agriculture. And as we all know that the conservation agriculture is basically a concept of resource saving, and that to achieve the profit together with a high and sustainable production level with conserving the environment. So actually conservation agriculture is basically characterized by the three basic principles, and that are linked together. That is the continuous minimum mechanical soil disturbance. The next is the permanent organic soil cover, and third is the diversified crop rotations. Now, no-till drill, no-till system is one of the most important principle of conservation of agriculture. That is a minimum soil disturbance. The second is the furrow irrigated raised bed planting system. That is another system in which the crops are sown on the ridges or in beds, and these beds are maintained for 3 to 4 years. Plants are irrigated through furrow only, and this way we save energy in the tillage and also in water. It also reduces tillage and direct seeding with the permanent beds that reduces cost of labor, diesel, machinery when offset against the cost of initial bed formation and maintenance. Mechanical weeding and interculture operations in many crops reduces herbicide use. The urban agriculture in association with the vertical farming is also becoming very important nowadays, and it saves a lot of energy and time in transportation and also reduces cost of produce. Basically, this our traditional agriculture has always been the conservation agriculture, but because of the tractorization and mechanization, we shifted to traditional agriculture to the mechanical uh, agriculture, where we are putting a lot of energy, fertilizer, chemical, water, everything in the crop production system. So that is where the conservation agriculture, how to minimize the inputs, machinery inputs, fertilizer inputs, water inputs, and give more profit to the farmers. So in this context, we have about 6 speakers today. The first speaker is Dr. Indramani Mishra. He is the president of Indian Society of Agriculture Engineers. He is also the head of the Agriculture Engineering Division of the IARI, and he will be speaking on the topic ISA and professional development. The second speaker is Professor Gajendra Singh. He is the former Deputy Director General Agriculture Engineering ICR. He was also former Vice Chancellor to the Doon University. And then he is the Professor Emeritus at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok. He is also adjunct faculty at IRI New Delhi, and he will be speaking on the conservation agriculture and urban agriculture. Third speaker is Dr. C.R. Mehta. He is the director at the CIA Bhopal, and he was project coordinator of All India Coordinated Research Project on Farm Implements and Machinery, and he will be speaking on conservation agriculture in India, the research and field initiatives. Then we have the progressive farmers also, Mr. G.K. Rao and Mrs. G. Sujata from Andhra Pradesh, and they will be speaking on traditional agriculture and precision agriculture. The fifth speaker is Miss S. Sridhar. She is the program director at CIKS Sirikaji, CEO Baladu Sustainable Agriculture. She will be speaking on conservation agriculture, experience of Sirikaji farmers, NGO/FPC. And the last speaker is Mr. R. Manik Kandan. He is organic farmer at Agani Village, Sirkaji Producer Company. He will be sharing his experience with the conservation agriculture. So I welcome all speakers and all participants to this webinar. And I would like to tell you that Professor Gajendra Singh has been our teachers, and under his guidance, we are organizing all this webinar series on the conservation agriculture and the urban agriculture. So now I request Dr. Syed to invite the speakers for the deliberation.
Thank you, Dr. Surendra Singh. I'd like to invite Dr. Indramani, who has been the force behind for the whole complete webinar series. And last time when we started, almost 4 months, we had day and night spent to call all the speakers, arrange everything. I'd like to hand over to Dr. Indramani.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Syed and Dr. Surendra Singh ji. Professor Gajendra Singh, our teacher, guru, and mentor, and all dear friends present in this webinar. I'm really very much pleased to see all of you here, and thank Dr. Syed because he is really person who put all his efforts and force to for professional activities, and ISA, on behalf of ISA and on my own behalf, I thank you, Dr. Syed, for taking all these initiatives. You told that from last 2 days your health is not good, but you are saying very fresh. So thank you, for organizing all these activities. And dear friends, engineering, and I congratulate Dr. Mehta and whole CI team and whole agricultural engineering fraternity for CIAE has been bestowed with Best Institute Award in the large category, and our institute IRI has been bestowed with Best University Award among all different universities. IRI won the first prize, prize in that category. And engineering has been at the center stage. Let me tell you, in IRI also, and this CIA, this award again, there is a lot of discussion, and they are trying to prove that yes, engineering is important, and engineering will lead Indian agriculture, and that's what we say, that future agriculture will be engineering agriculture. So all these efforts and results will basically give testimony of our hard work and efforts and guidance of mentors like Professor Gajendra Singh, Dr. Surendra Singh, Dr. Jaswant Singh, and all present here, who have been guiding us at different stages to basically serve the profession and serve the agricultural engineering fraternity and Indian farmers as a whole and nation as a whole. My dear friends, this is really very, very important time. And if you remember last Friday, Prime Minister was addressing, more than 100 top managers of R&D institutions that included all IITs and, natural science and agriculture institute, leaders. And emphasis was, he said that this next decade is going to be very, very important for the country. And he termed it a decade. So take it as a decade, he said. And he said that higher education, higher level research is very, very important. And then he said futuristic research. And futuristic research in 5 areas, which is he selected, my dear friends, that included education, healthcare, then agriculture. Third one, he kept agriculture. And after agriculture, it was basically defense and then cyber tech. So my purpose of mentioning this is that agriculture is bracketed in top 5 areas, which are very, very important for the country, and futuristic research has to be done in these areas. And onus lies on us, my dear friends, that we have to put our best to develop futuristic technology in agriculture. And as I said, and Dr. Surendra Singh mentioned in the beginning, that agriculture is going to be guided by precision agriculture. Agriculture is going to be guided by conservation agriculture, vertical farming, and all those, if we want to save input and we want to increase productivity and then add value. And finally, we want to make the farmers happy farmer, a richer farmer. So for all these, it is very, 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 very important. And what is important for the country is that it has to become the hub of R&D, hub of innovation, and then another emphasis is country is giving on popularizing science and technology among young people. So this all will come through our efforts. And in this area, ISAE, Indian Society of Agricultural Engineers, and all associated universities and colleges and institutions of ICR are putting their best under the guidance of our mentors and seniors to bring changes, and those changes and the paradigm changes in agriculture. And the recent recognition are in that line. So that's very, very important. And the help coming from industry, the professionals from industry, they are doing wonderful. And Dr. Syed Seifert has been, and many others are here in this group who are from the industry, are helping a lot. So Professor Gajendra Singh, when he was president ISA, from that time we started that Without industry, we cannot move. And in engineering, it is not possible that what R&D institutions are developing that directly cannot go to the farmers until unless the third pillar. So R&D is one, R&D institution is one. Then our this industry is another, and the farmer. So industry is one very important pillar, and ISA has been putting its best effort to get industry along. And the recent ISA conventions, if you see the Pune convention, or before that Banaras convention, and we are expecting at Patna convention also, and before that also, industry played a very important role, and we salute industry for coming forward and helping ISA in bringing changes and taking these all technologies, developed technologies to young users and farmers. Another point is that Syed mentioned during last COVID, when COVID erupted, at that time we got together and started a series of webinars, and though at the time we covered energy, it was one solar energy particular, and precision agriculture, and then all different aspects were covered, and it was very much appreciated by the professional, young professional, students, and all. And in that line, so Dr. Syed and ISA has just started again, and Dr. Surendra Singh and all will be helping us. My dear friends, some initiative of ISAE that will be right if I can share. And under the guidance of Professor Gajendra Singh, one development is that we are planning to bring Asian Association of Agricultural Engineers to Delhi. There were some requirements we have been working, and two things we have already covered. Only FCRA permission is required, that I was discussing with our auditor today, and about account and all things, what all the requirement we are working on, and very soon with the blessing of Professor Gajendra Singh and other international member of AAAE, this Asian Association of Agriculture Engineers will be housed in ISA at ISA headquarters, and together that will be one big leap to internationalize agricultural engineering of India. Already with blessing of Professor Gajendra Singh, they have done a lot, but this one will be a very important initiative which we are going to do. And last convention, if you remember, that we signed some MOUs with international sister societies like Malaysian Society of Agriculture Engineers, Nigerian Society of Agriculture Engineers, Korean Society of Agriculture Engineers, Nepalese Society of Agriculture Engineers. And the advantage of that, I remember if Mr. Babu is here, last time when a team from India had to go to Korea, and there was some formalities required, and immediately because of that MOU and because of that understanding, they could extend, although because of COVID reasons they could not go. But at least whether it is in any of these countries, if we need support to the professional, to industry, to facilitate any kind of business, any kind of visit, all these can is possible through this kind of agreement. And in India also, we are having very good relation with the Institute of Engineers India. We are working together, and also Engineering Council of India. And today only Professor saying there was a board meeting, board of governors meeting, and there was another executive meeting, and professional engineers issue was discussed. And in agricultural engineering also, they have made around 4,000 members, professional engineers of different category. In agricultural engineering also, we have to work hard, and we have to enroll professional engineers. And although there are number of obstacles which they are trying, ECI is trying to do, but when Professor Singh was president at the time, we became lifetime member of ECI, and in all different meetings, ISAE is one of the most important society in ECI discussions and ECI decision making and ECI events. So this is how we are trying to do. Although there is a scope for improvement everywhere, but we have been trying to this. But with industry, we all know that we are very closely working with industry, and you remember that when TAPE did the effort of Professor Singh and all of us, we got uh, a good funding from TAPE and ISA TAPE Award Gold Medal for different BTech, MTech, and PhD students are there. We are approaching other industry, and there has been discussion with Mahindra and Mahindra for a ISA Mahindra and Mahindra chair at headquarters, and we have been working. And my friends from Mahindra must be here, and hopefully, I'm sure that this kind of chair, if comes, that will be very, very helpful. And yes, I will round up. So that's how we are doing, and I'm sure that another just point that day before yesterday only Professor Tiwari was in some IIT. He was heading some meeting of IIT directors, and at that time immediately he asked that send me the proposal of which we submitted to IIT and immediately I sent. And the Professor Tiwari is putting effort that in IITs and NITs how we can open agricultural engineering as a degree course or as a postgraduate level. So I will conclude here by saying that agricultural engineering in agriculture is very important, and we have to do a lot, my dear friends. This is the let me tell you, the most beautiful opportunities there in this decade. Let us make agricultural engineering as a mover and shaker of agriculture, and let us do our best with this. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak before the audience, and I hand over to Dr. Syed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Indramani. I would like to invite my guru, Dr. Gajendra Singh. He will talk on what is the importance of conservation agriculture, as well as what is urban agriculture, how they can both coexist and they are both better together. I leave the floor to Professor Gajendra Singh, please. Dr. Gajendra Singh, you would unmute.
Just now. You can hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Syed. Good morning or good evening, everyone. Very happy to see all these nice smiling faces. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, honestly, because Suren Singh already gave an introduction. Indramani also have explained some, Syed gave this. So, well, let me relate to my own career. When I was doing my PhD, I developed a relationship between yield and other factors like input of energy in tillage, water for irrigation, chemical fertilizers, and chemicals for pest control. So, and they were all put in two different equations. One was based on the money terms, and other was based on energy terms, because you can convert everything into energy. Fertilizer also into energy, everything you can. And I use a very difficult system called Cobb-Douglas functions, which was being used mostly by economists those days, and also stepwise regression. And I found that there was no relationship between tillage and yield. There was a very strong relationship with water, means irrigation available, a strong relationship with fertilizer, but whatsoever, no relationship with the amount of tillage you do. And that I'm talking, I did this work in 1971. And it was published in American Society of Ag Engineers Transactions also. So conventional tillage is a frequent inversion of topsoil. And this frequent inversion of topsoil damages the structure of the soil. It reduces the organic matter and makes the susceptible to erosion by wind, and water. This is what conventional tillage does. Definitely we do the conventional tillage to control weeds, to create a soil condition so where crop can be established. Suren Singh already explained three major components of the CA. I do not like to call it a zero tillage. I always prefer word minimum tillage, because even when you are planting, you are doing a tillage. So there is a minimum tillage. You are not doing it specifically only for land preparation. That's so you are avoiding the land preparation part. Okay. Then second, the crop residue, the soil mulch, which is the probably very important part. And then crop rotation or diversification. I'll call it more as a rotation, because when you change the crops, you break the biological cycle of pests and insects. So you control them easier by biological means. Interestingly, the conventional agriculture still dominates. It's only few countries where conservation agriculture has moved forward. Globally, conservation area is around 102 million hectares. And this is spread out to also more than 100 countries. And this represents only 15% of the area, of the crop area. India is the largest crop area country, but our conservation agriculture, we are far behind. The maximum conservation agriculture is in Brazil, where they use roughly 80% of areas under conservation agriculture. Other countries like Argentina, Australia, Canada, Paraguay, South Africa, Uruguay, and USA, more than half of the crop area is under conservation agriculture. As Suren Singh told, the main motivation of conservation agriculture is its potential for net gains in income. And it comes from by reducing the inputs, like tillage. When you don't do tillage, you save time, you save energy, you save money, all those things. And rather than mechanical means, the biological activities take over. And the organic carbon increases, organic matter increases, the biological activities increases. And you know, the earthworms are the best tilling machines. They are the one which pulverize the soil, cultivate it, and make it very rich. So the challenge to engineers is to develop equipment which we can use on small farmers. Still, it is difficult to convince farmers to change from conventional tillage to the conservation tillage. But we have to do in a large areas as a demonstration. I think our talks are not enough. We need institutions and organizations to really adopt it. And I get surprised that why ICAR as a big institution, as a big network of institutes, has not taken it as a lead activity. We have so many ICAR institutes, and starting with IRI and CIAE and all that, if we start following conservation agriculture, I think it will go a long way. We have a very good equipment like zero-till planting systems, zero-till seed drills, Happy Seeder. We have a very good combined harvester with SMS, with the straw management systems and all that. But it's still, like, weed control is still a major challenge. And we are still using a lot of herbicide in these cases. So I think there are many challenges. I'll stop on conservation agriculture and move a little bit about urban agriculture. By word urban means agriculture which you do in urban areas or near urban, nearby areas as a peri-urban agriculture. this is like, so the practice of cultivating, processing, distributing, is marketing in and around urban areas will be part of urban agriculture. So it includes urban animal husbandry, like dairying is a very common activity near urban areas, poultry, the egg production near urban areas, aquaculture, beekeeping, and the most important is horticulture, the vegetable production especially, to some extent fruits, and I think, and flowers growing. All these urban agriculture is very attractive because it reduces a lot of logistics cost, because it's in the consumption area, is next to the major consumption areas. So lower transportation costs, lower handling costs, all that. And also it provides employment and income to the urban people. So you can start with a simple examples for individual level, the kitchen gardening and roof gardens, and many things are done as even a community gardens. When I was a student at University of California, we were all given a one row of land, 6 feet wide and 100 meters long. And we were allowed to do anything. And so we all grew vegetables. And I was in charge of providing water to everybody. So I could see, and we grew a lot of vegetables and fresh vegetables every day. So it's a lot of fun. But for us, I think agriculture engineer, the big challenge is to like design of poly houses. Vertical farming is becoming extremely popular, is growing up very rapidly because you can multiply the production. Hydroponic, greenhouses, and aquaponic facilities, growing fish and plants together. Aeroponics, which is more challenging and more complicated, but it's much more efficient in terms of resource use. So I think all these activities have a tremendous challenge to engineers now. One challenge to us as agriculture engineers is that we think that engineering is our component. Yes, engineering is our main component, but we have to also know the agronomy, the biology of these productions. So until unless we ourselves are part of the production system, we will not be able to really come up with the excellent designs. And we seem to be staying away from the production part. Like the horticulturists have taken over the greenhouse systems, and they don't know engineering, but they at least try to, when they produce, they learn in this process. So my request will be that those who are involved in this, please get into the production also. So you will realize how important the engineering structures are, how to make them last long. I think with these remarks, I'll say that both these topics, urban agriculture providing fresh food near the consumption areas is really a growing area. Conservation agriculture, conserving resources, reducing use of energy, and becoming cost effective. I think both areas have a tremendous scope and big opportunity for us as agriculture engineers. I'll stop here. Thank you, Sayed.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Now, actually, when I went through my homework of searching for the documents, what has been done, in India, ICR and other organizations have done more than a decade of research. But unfortunately, when I see the reality afterwards, only few of the states are trying to implement. For example, in the northern states, you will find no tillage, and especially that is a good technique. And southern part of India, you have a lot of natural farming techniques. Actually, natural farming also very similar, close to what you call conservation agriculture in many points. However, we have a lot of work done by CIE Bhopal also. So I'd like to invite Dr. C.R. Mehta, the director of CAE Bhopal, to share with the whatever the research works done and whatever now forecasted. Now I hand over to Dr. C.R. Mehta, please. Dr.
Good
C.R. Mehta,
evening. Good evening, everyone, and good morning to Professor Gajendra Singh. First of all, I thank Dr. Syed Ismail for inviting me to deliver a talk, particularly in the area of conservation agriculture and what is being done particularly under ICR and SUV system in India. So, respected Professor Gajendra Singh sir, Dr. Surendra Singh, senior colleagues and friends participating in this webinar talk. And today's both the topic, conservation agriculture and urban agriculture, are important. And if you permit me, I may like to share screen.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Is it visible properly?
Yes, it's visible.
So I will be talking about the conservation agriculture in India. What are the initiatives which have been made so far and what is to be done. So my previous speaker, both Dr. Surendra Singh as well as Dr. Gajendra Singh, have already defined what is conservation agriculture, and even it has been defined that what is conventional agriculture and how is it moved to conservation agriculture. So when there is minimum tillage or no tillage, then and there is crop residue on the surface and there is crop rotation, then it is conservation agriculture. If it is in between that, then we call it minimum tillage. Three principles of conservation agriculture are already defined by Dr. Surendra Singh. But as per the FAO definition, how much minimum soil disturbance should be allowed to be called it as conservation agriculture? And I would like to highlight also that all three principles should go simultaneously, then that process is called conservation agriculture. So like minimum tillage areas covered area till should not be more than 25% of the crop area or 15 centimeter wide, whichever is lower. And how much soil cover should be, then it is recommended as per FAO that there should be minimum of 30% soil cover, soil organic cover with the use of straw. And what should be the crop rotation? There should be at least 3 crops to be used for better soil health. So all three principles, if they go together, then it can be called conservation agriculture. Professor Gajendra Singh sir has already mentioned that India is far behind, particularly in the area of adoption of conservation agriculture in our country. And you can see that as per FAO data of 2014, USA, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, and Australia were leading, particularly in the area of conservation agriculture. And in India, contribution to that was only around 1%. Then how much crop residue should be on the soil surface and what type of crop residue? These are some of the questions which are still being discussed, which are still being addressed by different R&D organizations. So what is the best way to manage residue, whether anchor residue is good or whether surface carpet of residue is good or whether combination of both is good. So these are some of the issues which are being discussed, which are being researched. And there should even, it has been recommended that there should be trade-off between these 2-3 options. Then what are the types of residue? One is short and root anchored residue, another is tall root anchored, then short flat, long flat. Which one is better? So particularly it has been observed that handling residue in wet condition is most difficult. for sowing of operations without preparation of the field. Then long flat residue is most difficult to handle because it entangles particularly with the machinery which is being used for conservation agriculture. And the most serious physical problem relating to the handling of the surface residue is mechanical blockage. Then most favorable conditions in the case of handling heavy residue is to cut the straw high at the harvest time. Particularly right now it is being done and recommended by with the use of super SMS and spread residue evenly as far as possible in the field. Then about the crop rotation, Professor Gajendra Singh sir has already highlighted that if we go for crop rotation, it will help in reducing the risk of pests and weed infestations, as well as it also helps in better distribution of water and nutrients through the soil profile, because the different crops will be having different density and different length of the root. So soil pores will be better. And that will also help in increase in nitrogen fixation through certain plants' soil biota. And it will also help in enhancing the soil organic carbon. Even right now, it is also being discussed. If we add control traffic also with the conservation agriculture, it will further add to the conservation agriculture. And that will help, not only help in having better soil health, as well as that will help in reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And control traffic problem is mainly in the developed countries where heavy machinery are being used and there is soil compaction. So if we add that component also with conservation agriculture, then it will further add value to the conservation agriculture. These are the opinions of some of the researchers who work in that area. So in control traffic, we have to practice, we have to modify the existing machinery to work on particularly on the permanent wheel tracks. So that will help in compaction only in that particular area, and there won't be soil compaction, particularly in the crop being grown in that area. And if you go for control traffic, then only around 14% area is taken for is wasted due to the control traffic. Even you may have already heard that there is burning of crop residue in the field, particularly in the northern part of India. And one of the study which have been conducted by CIMET, ICR, and BISA, and one paper which has been published in Science. In that also it has been highlighted that if we go for use of super SMS with combine, and if it follows with herbicides, we may be able to reduce the burning as well as we may be able to maintain the soil health. Now I come to the machinery, some of the machinery which are being developed for conservation agriculture and are being used. So this is this is zero-till drill. So which is what is difference between conventional drill and zero-till drill? That we use the inverted T-type furrow opener in place of other type of shoe-type furrow openers or other types of furrow openers in zero-till drill, and that helps in saving of time as well as fuel and water by more than 40 to 50%. But this works well when there is less crop residue or crop residue is chopped with the use of chopper in the field. Even in ECRIP on FIM, conservation agriculture has been practiced or tried in the state of Assam also. So in Assam Agriculture University had conducted some trials, particularly at that university as well as KVK Golaghat, and there they tried to sow pea crop after the harvesting of rice. And there also it has been recommended that if we go for harvesting of paddy near the ground level, that is one requirement if we want to sow pea crop in the field. after the harvesting of rye. So they tried two types of machinery because power tiller is also popular in that state, and they want to use the power tiller particularly for that purpose. So they tried the power tiller operated zero till drill as well as tractor operated zero till drill, and there they have observed very good results. Particularly, they conducted this study for 2-3 years, and they demonstrated it to farmers also. At our institute also, we made attempt to modify the existing zero till drill to make it suitable, particularly for vertisoils. So in that we attached the one straw handling system, as well as we also incorporated one powered cutters to cut the straw. So it helps in sowing of the wheat crop after the harvesting of rice. And in that also we have conducted some limited study, and we are planning to test this equipment particularly in the North Indian Indo-Gangetic plain, where rice and wheat crop are prevalent. Our previous speaker has already talked about that happy seeder is one of the options, particularly if you go for conservation agriculture. So in this slide, you can see the development of happy seeder. So there were continuous modification in the happy seeder. Number of model 1, 2, 3 have come, and in the year 2017, the design was nearly made perfect, and at that time it was suggested that we have to go for super SMS with the combine, so it spreads the straw which comes from the combine uniformly, and then it can immediately followed by the happy seeder. So happy seeder has been observed, particularly it is working very good when there is heavy residue, and if it also chops the residue which comes in between the row of the crop, and it distributes also, and it also helps in reducing or controlling the burning of the crop residue in the fields, because time available after harvesting of rice for sowing of wheat is very limited, particularly in the states of Punjab, Haryana, and this is one of the options which have been tried. Some of the farmers are not interested to leave anchor residue, particularly in the fields. So for that, in happy seeders, PIU have added the press wheels also to press that residue, so farmers may get the better fields where they may not see the anchor residue. So in this slide, you can see on the left hand side, happy seeder crops sown with happy seeder without press wheels, whereas on right hand side, you can see that visibility of the crop is better, and that is preferred by number of farmers, particularly in the states of Punjab and Haryana. So as I mentioned, that development of happy seeder, that journey has continued for a number of years, and now we have come out with nearly perfect machinery, we can call it. And for that purpose, number of demonstrations have been conducted by PIU Ludhiana to popularize happy seeder, particularly in the state of Punjab. So here in this slide, you can see that if we go for without conventional tillage, if we go for direct sowing of wheat, then even yield is also 3 to 4% higher as compared to use of conventional tillage. And it also adds to the soil organic carbon to the soils, which helps in maintaining the soil health, and that reduces the even fertilizer requirement. So I was talking about the super SMS. So it chops and spreads the loose straw coming from the straw worker and sieves in the working width of the combine harvesters. And it was further modified to make it super SMS, and it has been licensed to more than 150 manufacturers so far. And now in the states of Punjab and Haryana, it has been made mandatory to be provided by all the combine manufacturers for the combines which are being sold in those states. So in this slide, you can see the super SMS and the distribution of chopped straw in the fields. Even PAE Ludhiana have also developed the special no-till drill. So in that they have put 3 furrow openers in 3 rows, and those have been put in staggered manner. So that helps in working, particularly when crop residue is there in the fields. But it has not popularized so far. Recently, PAU have modified the strip till drill which have been developed earlier, and they have replaced the furrow opener with this type furrow openers, because that is more suitable, particularly for working in crop residue field, and that they have developed with the help of one leading farm machinery manufacturer of Punjab, Kamboj Mechanical Works, and now they are conducting trials of this machinery in different parts of the Punjab to make it popular in that region. Even one zero-till planter with herbicide applicator have also been developed, because particularly in the states of like Madhya Pradesh, where soybean, maize, and pigeon pea crops are grown. So if we want to go for conservation agriculture, Professor Gajendra Singh have also highlighted there is problem of weed. So to address that problem, one zero-till planter with herbicide applicator have been developed, and that is also being tried in the field as well as it is being demonstrated. But it works well, particularly when there is low crop residue in the field. Rotary or rototill drill have also been modified. It had been developed long back. Even nowadays, even super seeder is also available. And in this also, this type furrow opener have been used, and it has been modified recently by Punjab Agriculture University. And they are also conducting demonstration of this machine, because farmers are given choice of the machinery based on their preference. They can go for, even if we don't talk about the conservation agriculture, farmers are even preparing nowadays super seeder also. But in my presentation, I haven't covered it because that doesn't fall in the area of conservation agriculture. So if these are some of the options for handling of the ISTRA, for that ISTRA combine is there, then ISTRA with inbuilt trailer has also been developed. Then ISTRA rakes are available, as well as belts are also there. When ISTRA is used for some other purpose, at that time these machinery are important. In this slide, you can see the comparison of use of different machinery, and we have compared with the conventional practice, tillage practice, that is three tillage operations and then sowing. So here you can see that with the use of different types of no-till drill or zero-till drill or minimum-till drill, there is fuel saving from 50% to around 70%, as well as time saving is also from 60 to 75%, and it also helps in saving the energy. And ultimately, it helps in reducing the greenhouse gas emission to the environment. If we open the soils too much, then there will be greenhouse gas emission. So even farmers, now there is proposal that if farmers go for no-till drill, they should be given credit of carbon credit, and like that, and that also reduces the cost of cultivation if we go for use of zero-till drill machinery. We formulated one project, one scheme for promotion of in situ management of crop residue in the states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and New Delhi. And that purpose of that scheme was mainly to reduce the burning of the crop residue, particularly of rice crop residue. But right now in some of the states like Madhya Pradesh, wheat straw is also burnt in the field. So that is also one of the concern. And yesterday, even in the ICR Foundation Day, it was mentioned by Minister that now we are planning to increase this scope of this scheme to other parts of our country also. So in this scheme, farmers are given subsidy up to 50% for purchase of the selected machinery. Some of those machinery are conservation agriculture, and farm machinery banks are given subsidy up to 80%. And the purpose of this scheme was mainly to reduce the burning of crop residue in the field. Initially, it was planned to reduce it to 0, but during last 3 years, we are able to reduce it by 52%. So even this is one of the options. BISA has worked in the area of conservation agriculture a lot, and this is photograph from the BISA. Here you can see that it has been recommended that if we go for combined harvesting of the rice with super SMS, it can follow with 3 to 4 happy seeders, and all the operations can be done simultaneously. So this is also recommended, and there are number of gaps because conservation agriculture is not getting popular. So one of the concern right now is there is lack of awareness about conservation agriculture. Sometimes this is even being confused with resource conservation or even with some precision conservation, precision agriculture also. Recently, we have started a popularization of conservation agriculture in the states of Tamil Nadu also. We have conducted some demonstration with the help of our regional center located there. And another concern that cost of the machinery, particularly which are being used for conservation agriculture, are costly. Particularly if we talk about rototill drill, or if we talk about the happy seeder, those cost around 1.5 lakh. And those machinery are being used for limited times. So, and our land holding is small. So only option which is left to us is we have to go for custom hiring of farm machinery. Another, in some of the states, such machinery are not available. Even in some of the programs, in place of zero till drill, some normal seed cum fertilizer drills are also being sold. So that also highlights the need for creating awareness about the right machinery and identifying the right machinery. Another, there is requirement of making some minor modification in the machinery which are already development to make them suitable for different parts of the country. Another, weed management is also a problem, particularly in the clay soils. Then moist crop residue is also one of the problem at the time of planting. So even in northern part of India also, it is recommended that we have to use the happy seeder after around 11 a.m. in the morning. We cannot use it early in the morning when their crop residue is moist. Another,
Sorry to interrupt. As early as possible.
Yeah, I am concluding. This is last slide. So even I have highlighted the problem of the hard pan of the soil, and so this is all in brief about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. Very enlightened to know all the type of research you have done. Now we will have 2 presentations coming from farmer side, one from farmer, another from an NGO, as well as a farmer. It'd be interesting for us to see what is the real reaction, what is happening in the field. We could, in the short period of time we could only organize 2, and we plan to organize more people in the next sessions to come. Because as you must have noticed, this is only a first session, only conservation agriculture we are concentrated. We'll have second and third sessions. We like to invite people who worked on it, like BISA, probably whatever the institutes, to give, and some farmers more. So please tell us any of the references, or if you know, so we can make the exposure to people about the advantage of the CA. Now, with this, I would like to invite Mr. K. Rajeshwar, who introduced the next speaker, the farmer, Progress Farmer. I would like Rajeshwar to say a few words.
Yeah.
Just take
Am I
a minute
audible?
or two. Yeah. Just take a minute or two only, please. And you can
I'm Rajeshwar. I'm an agriculture engineer with experience in farm machinery for 39 years. I am incredibly happy to introduce the Progressive Farming family, the couple, and owners of Vishwamata Farms, Mrs. Sujata and Mr. Koteswar Rao, from Ongole, Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Koteswar Rao is a mechanical engineer with more than 36 years of professional experience in marine industry. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, and he has worked as a chief engineer with reputed national and international organizations like Shipping Corporation of India, Barber Shipping Management, and Unique Shipping Hong Kong, and retired as the chief engineer of TK Shipping Australia. He is actively involved in organic farming and adoption of precision agriculture techniques since 2014 at Vishwamata Farms, along with his life partner, Mrs. Sujata. Mrs. Sujata is an arts graduate and she is the owner of Vishwamata Farms. She started an organic farming in 2013. She underwent training on ZBNA, Zero Budget Natural Farming, and she was trained by Sri Subhash Palekar, reputed Indian agriculturist. And she has been practicing and promoting ZBNA since 2015. As a seasoned agri-tech professionals, both of them are very actively engaged in developing, producing millets, pulses, vegetables, and fruits in their 40 acres farm. Mrs. Sujata has won many awards and recognitions for her contribution in promoting organic and natural farming. And she was the Best Woman Farmer Award by Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Also, Chandrababu Naidu in 2017. And she was facilitated in Agri-Tech seminar for best water conservation techniques in rain-fed irrigation. She was also facilitated with by Honorable Vice President of India, Sri Venkaiah Naidu, and Mr. Koteswar Rao and Sujata are actively involved in promoting precision farming and precision agriculture, organic farming, and they are actively pursuing the new methods in their own farms. I welcome Sujata and Srimati Sujata and Koteswar Rao Garu to share their experience to the audience. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh Kuchimanchi. Before we start, shall I start? Sharing, sir?
You have only one device. Have only one device. Echo will come otherwise.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please go ahead fast if possible. We have very short time now. Please, yeah, try to
Thank you,
make
Dr. Syed Ismail, sir, for having given me an opportunity to share my knowledge and my wife's knowledge in the field of natural farming. And I thank Dr. Kuchimanchi for having introduced to this group. This is a very allied group. I'm a little nervous to speak in front of all these allied people. Namaskar to all the participants and speakers, sir. All the speakers, the spoken before me, the conservation agriculture, Mr. Mani, he spoke about the technology has got a more future in the coming 10 years. Just before going to my topic, I would like to briefly inform about where my farming is started. In 2013, we have taken a barren land. We are looking for which method to apply. That time we have seen many exhibitions. We know with the organic and the natural farming is the best method. We have adopted the zero budget natural farming. And recently, Government of Andhra Pradesh also introduced the PMDS method, which is including ZBNF. This is also linked with the United Nations FAO program of agroecology. So we are now doing a zero Andhra Pradesh community-based managed natural farming. This natural farming is also one of the sustainable agriculture practices. But mostly it is famous in Andhra Pradesh and Sikkim and Haryana, some parts of the Tamil Nadu. The Andhra Pradesh government is taking a big way. This natural farming, simply say it is the low input, climate resilient farming system where you don't use chemical fertilizer, you don't use any pesticides, as we use locally available materials, cow dung, cow urine, and pulses, jaggery. this is a mixture. You make a biostimulant and using it. Also, use the
But
herbs.
the slides are not changing. Just in case you want to, you are changing the slides.
Yes, sir.
You're on a first slide only, please.
Okay, sir. The slide is showing is the aerial view of the farm, where it is started 2014. And the next is a recent one taken from it, aerial view. The idea of showing this is aerial view. We are using a precision agriculture tools. You use the drone and taken this as a part of our precision agriculture tools in the farm. Next. So what contents? That's what I'm trying to. What we know about natural farming. I'm just talking about it. Natural farming plus this is the mainly the Bijamrutam used and Najivamrutam and mulching, crop spa, and the final one we added is 360 days pre-monsoon dry sowing system. This system is concept is drawing the water content from the atmosphere and giving it to the fields. This is very well popular nowadays in Andhra Pradesh. So the people are practicing, and my farm is also being practiced. This way, carbon sequestration is taking place. It is also one of the solutions for climate mitigation. We are taking part in that. I'm not dwelling about this problems of farmers and global scenario. Everybody knows about this, 2050, a million population and what actions to be taken. Things, the natural universal principles we are talking about is the soil to be covered with this crops. 360 days. This is the main aim of this natural farming system we are following. And the minimum disturbance of the soil. This is being followed in our farm. We use that strip tillage for our crop seeding. Also, we use house integrated farming. This is the main input supplier for our cultivation. Also, we use diverse crops and trees in the farm. Diverse means crop rotation we do. We do intercropping and cover crops is the system we can follow. Biostimulants. Making is to use cow dung and jaggery. These are being mixed properly and applying on the fields before selecting our seeds or preparing the farms. And we do as seed selection of the desi seed. We have our own seed after previous harvest. We collect seeds. We use our seeds and we prepare our land minimum tillage. And we apply.
Mr. Kodiswarao, we're getting a call still with you. You've got two devices on nearby. Turn off the other device. Turn off the other device, please.
Yes, so we stop it. We stop with the other device. So this is the natural farming with aids we are using. And intercropping is the one we are using. And also we made our plots, annual crops. We made a management zones. Each zone is 2 acres. We can control. We can making up bunds. We will prevent any flood water going out of the system. Other tools we are using in this precision agriculture is the tools we are using in our farm is GPS, global precision device, and geographic information system, variable rate technology, crop monitoring by using a drone. We are also using auto. We are not using an auto steering system. Availability is limited and very expensive. Yield monitors, we don't have any monitors, but we are doing a crop cutting thing. We are doing it. And the other one users are using the remote sensing technology we are using. We are regularly getting our farms being monitored by the remote sensors. We get regular information and
I cannot hear you properly. Your audio is not clear, and please come to the main points. What do you want to say? Because we have a couple of minutes only. Because we have another speaker also waiting.
Tools we are using, the PA is a weather station also we are using in our form. Report based on spatial and temporal. Can you hear me now, sir? Is it clear? Is it clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, clear. Yeah.
The tools other
Go ahead.
weather station also we are using based on the spatial and temporal variation of farm to take decision on our irrigation and spraying of precautions for handling of the pre-harvest and post-harvest operations. Use of our remote services, and we use also orbit satellites and local service provider Farmonet, and compare these predictions using our weather station and take predictions using support system. Our other small PA tools we use in our farm is wet test gauges. The weather gauges, the weather gauges and the pH meter and the temperature sensors. Generally, we use during nursery time the amount of temperature, the value of the soil pH, and the wetness is to be observed, and accordingly we operate. Other stations gives us predictions. We take a weather report from the remote sensor and also from the other service provider. We're comparing both reading with our local weather station and take a correct decision to avoid we conserve water. We postpone irrigation of the plants. Drones we are using for crop monitoring. We use drones for taking a picture. Sometimes with these pictures, we check the condition of the plant, any pest is there. Also, we use for counting the plants in the field. So we first thing after sowing, we also test our soil. We did a laboratory analysis using a GIS and the lab results. We develop soil digital maps, which helps us in knowing which area is fertile, which area is less fertile. Accordingly, we apply variable rate technology. Like generally, we don't have any implements to GPS. Normally, with the handheld GPS, we use that one and we see the areas where it is required fertilizer, where it is required. Based on that, we will be using this one. This picture is showing the superimposed on our whole field. NPK was made using our data. We also use solar power as a backup from the electrical system. We run our solar pumps, motors, so saving the energy, utilizing the natural power. Also, direct sowing. This is the land which is not been tilled. Directly sowing the red plant. The idea is we have a 30% increase in our output. 30% increase in output. Tools we use mostly about adequately mechanized, mostly using mechanization because of the labor problem. Most of the items we are using here. Still, we face these tools are not sufficient because most of the things are not specific. We are requesting this forum. I have come here to make a design. We will know about this farm agriculture. They can help us designing a small units which is help the farmers. Most important thing is nobody is interested in working with this mechanical things. Everybody wants a remotely operated things.
What is it? Sorry to interrupt. You have to conclude.
Yes, sir. The other thing is we biodiversity also we were encouraging. We have left over 4 acres of land for biodiversity. You can see the birds dwelling, also the honeybees. This is the indication of the biodiversity. Also, we have an integrated farming system where we have a poultry and cattle. Cattle is mainly for our milk and for input for this natural farming. The final conclusion is our practice of natural farming integrated with the precision agricultural food here. We have a very good results. That is a low input and high output and healthy and nutritious food we are getting. We were able to do marketing. We have got margins in our production. Also, at the same time, we environment-friendly crop management, improving our biodiversity. Definitely, the farmers' income will increase with the support of the government and NGOs, scientists, and engineers to support innovative technologies, training in new technologies, warehousing, supply chain, and marketing. We also respect the scientists, and engineers, research and innovations, and also farmers' traditions to encourage the younger generation to come into the field. And compared to this conventional agriculture practices and the substantial agriculture, sustainable agriculture practices, the figures are very low due to evidence-based data on showing a short term. In order to attract younger generation, more farmers towards sustainable agriculture, we need evidence-based.
Sorry for interruption. Sorry for interruption. Please conclude. Next speaker is
What we need is we need to focus on a site-specific implementation and machinery of a new technology, products like agri-boards, make available to the small and marginal farmers at an affordable price and at an affordable fees. This what we're trying to do is the natural farming is a very low in production and high yield, which is definitely helps the people and all the farmers, and we will get a good healthy food and the environmental friendly. It will not harm. It will improve biodiversity. What we need is the technology has to be incorporated with this natural or conservation technology or sustainable agriculture. More engineers to come forward, design site-specific. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Kodisar Rao. I really appreciate the time taken. I'm very sorry to interrupt because we have two more speakers lined up. Actually, I would like to apologize to all the participants also. Please bear with me. This time we are going to exceed the time a little bit more because considering the farmers have come up prepared so much, I think it's the first time we are doing it. Next time we'll be careful not to exceed the time. So please bear with us for extra little bit minutes. So with these words, I would like to request Mr. Venkatraman to come and introduce very quickly the next speaker. Please, Mr. Venkatraman.
Yeah, good evening.
Mr.
Greetings from
Mr.
Venkatraman.
Kodiswaran, can you close the tops? Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm not switching on the video.
Just 1 second. Yeah. Now you can. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm
Go
Venkatraman.
ahead, quick.
Greetings from my side. I'm an agriculture engineer by qualification. Worked in the Department of Agriculture Engineering for about 2 years, and later on I was drawn to the banking sector, and I specialized in treasury. And finally, I retired from TCS during March 2020. Post that, I have come back to my native place with an intention to help the Delta farmers in some way or other. I have come across Mrs. Subhashini Sridhar, an agriculture graduate and an MBA, who has dedicated her entire service for the cause of working for an NGO. I'm happy to introduce her. She has been working with Center for Indian Knowledge System since 1997 and has got an experience of about 20 years in traditional paddy seed conservation, which is a very critical one because we have been losing all the traditional paddy varieties of this particular region. And she has documented the characteristics of 130 paddy varieties and conducted training programs for farmers of Tamil Nadu. Currently, she has been engaged in working with SDET, Trust Farm, Kudavasal, as a consultant, and which is taking 250 traditional paddy varieties of rare collections from Asian countries, including North and Central India. And she is also working as a CEO of Valanadu Sustainable Agriculture Producer Company, that is Farmer Producer Company, since 2013. And from the academic career perspective, she has co-authored 50 publications in Tamil and English on organic farming under CIKS, presented papers on community vermicompost production for women-led initiative in Sirkali Taluk. with this there are more to talk about her. I don't want to take her time of presenting all her work. So I leave the floor to her. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
I'm Subhashini Sridhar, representing Center for Indian Knowledge Systems, a non-governmental organization working on sustainable agriculture since 1993. And basically, I'm an agriculture graduate. So I thank Dr. Syed Venkatraman sir and other Indian Society of Agriculture Engineers for giving us an opportunity to share our experience in the area of conservation agriculture. So shall I start the presentation now, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes.
Make it fast, short,
Yes,
because
sir.
people do not go away.
Sure.
Please.
Okay.
Share screen. Down
Yes,
you'll
sir.
find share screen. Click on
Yeah.
that and share.
Sir, I think there is a poor signal, so I am unable to. Can you share my presentation, sir?
Venkatraman, you have?
Venkatraman, sir?
Yeah, I have. I'll share. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Yeah. Please go ahead.
So next slide, sir. As far as conservation agriculture, as per the definition, it is mainly for resource saving.
Sorry to interrupt, because definitions everybody, all of us come to
Sure,
your
sir.
main, I think, better.
Okay, sir.
Please,
Right.
please.
Next slide, sir. So introduction about CIKS. So our vision is food and nutritional security through sustainable agriculture, and our mission is National Center for Sustainable Agriculture through sustained scalable models and creating an enabling environment. So we are a not-for-profit organization which is registered in 1993, and we are currently working in 5 districts of Tamil Nadu with more than 25,000 farmers. And we have a team of 45 persons as a full-time staff and more farmers as village service providers. Next slide, please. And the approach adopted is we start our experiments and then we conduct standardization trials and document it. And the documentation, after the documentation, it will be disseminated through training programs and it will be replicated in the other villages. So this is the approach adopted by us. Next slide, please. As far as the conservation agriculture, we started working on SRI, System of Rice Intensification Paddy Cultivation, in 2005. So we started our experiments on SRI using the modern varieties as well as the traditional paddy varieties in Mr. Manigandan, who is an organic farmer. Basically, he is into organic farming since 2002, and we started trials in one particular area that is allotted for the experiments. 3 acres have been dedicated for this experiment. We have conducted trials with traditional paddy varieties. Nearly 130 varieties have been conserved in this farm for more than 5 years. Thanks to DST, Department of Science and Technology, these experiments have been done under the DST course support program. Next slide, please. So this is the experimental field which has been adopted for SRI paddy cultivation. And this is our experience about the next slide, please. About the Kuruvai season, which was the first season where ADT 43, which is a modern variety which has been cultivated in under the SRI technique, and we have documented all the characteristics, tillers, yield, etc. So it was proved to be very successful, and it was replicated in other varieties also in the same field. Next slide, please. So this is the nursery, raising of nursery under SRI. Normally, SRI consists of nearly 6 different principles, but certain principles have been adopted locally because agriculture is not universal. So we have modified techniques, including the spacing and method of raising the nursery. So the mat nursery. So these techniques are localized based on our own farmers' experience. Next slide, please. So we have trained the women to handle the transplanting operations, the single seedling technique. And the next photo, you can see the traditional varieties which have been raised on the SRI method. Next slide. And this is interesting to share the results. We have adopted 3 different methods: single seedling, double seedling, and the triple seedling, and the conventional. So this is a comparative results which was observed in our farm. Next slide, please. So based on all these results, we started training farmers. We have conducted nearly 280 farmers, thanks to Department of Agriculture, who under the Atma scheme, we have been hired as the resource person to conduct training programs in our own block, which is Sirgari block. And we have conducted nearly 45 demonstrations. So through these demonstrations, the modified SRI components have been adopted in nearly 45 villages in Sirgari block. Next slide. So this is the farmers' fields where the SRI has been practiced in Sirgari. So the first slide shows the picture of the seedlings. It is a 12 days old seedling, which has been completely organically based. So we have not used any chemical fertilizers. Next slide, please. This is a farm where the seed conservation has been happening in Kudavasal block in Thiruvarur district, where 235 varieties have been conserved using this organic SRI technique. Next slide. So as an impact, due to all these experiments and the encouragement from the farmers, the seed rate has been reduced from 30 kg per acre to 15 kg per acre, which itself has given a reduction in the cost of cultivation. And second thing is the alternate wetting and drying. In Delta, actually initially farmers have grown paddy with a lot of water, but after that is 1990s, the water level has come down and inland salinity has been increasing. So nowadays the water is becoming a scarce element in the agriculture. So alternate wetting and drying has reduced the water consumption in the paddy field, and average yield per acre has increased up to 2100 kg through organic method. So these organic package of practices have been standardized in the farmers field, and now the SRI nursery method has been localized. They are using even the saris as a base material to raise the nursery. So these are some of the improvements which have been made possible by the farmers' support. Next slide. And we have presented our paper in Lisa India magazine in the month of March 2013. This is just a glimpse of paper in which we have explained whatever the efforts made under SRI paddy cultivation in the Sirgari block. Next slide. And second component about the Agriculture Machinery Facilitation Center. Thanks to Department of Agriculture Engineering, we've started the custom hiring centers, which is a common name which has been used. We have framed the Agriculture Machinery Facilitation Center because the role of machines in organic farming is also very important in order to reduce the labor cost. So we have started using the power tillers and the transplanter as a community operations. Thanks to NABARD, we have started nearly 45 farmer clubs in our own district, that is Mayiladuthurai district, with 15 to 20 farmers in each farmer club. These farmer clubs have been federated into Sirgari Organic Farmers Federation. So with the support of the farmer clubs, next slide please, we have started this agriculture machinery facilitation centers with the support from our own institute CIKS and Vritti. Vritti is another not-for-profit organization based in Bangalore. So we have started this farm mechanization to overcome the constraints of manpower shortage. So we have started a power tiller based agriculture machinery center in the year 2013. One power tiller has been purchased for the farmer club with government subsidy as well as from the farmer club investment. So the ratios, that is the apportioned figures have been given. And this power tiller has been utilized by the entire farmers in the village. Only thing is the farmer club members, they have the different hiring charges. like 1,400 per acre, and for the non-members, it is 1,500 per acre. So this has created a difference between the members and the non-members, and the services has been given to the entire village. Next slide, please. So due to this, the revenue has been generated nearly 1,90,000. So involving the local farmers, and the profit which is obtained up to 80,000, which has been shared among the members. So the same has been replicated in 6 villages now, and this has been given with the government subsidy from Department of Agriculture Engineering. So this kind of thing has been taken up as a subsequent measures using the transplanter. So now 6 AMFCs have been functioning in Sirgari block using power tiller and transplanter. Next slide. So this is the photo of the power tiller as well as the transplanter, which is in operation in 2 villages. Next slide. As far as environmental conservation, we have been working on organic paddy cultivation. There is a package of practices which include green manuring, application of compost, neem seed powder as a basal dose, and early transplanting, that is 2 seedlings per hill, because single seedling per hill is not possible under the local conditions. Since our area is a waterlogging area, particularly during summer season, we come across the severe floods. So 2 seedlings per hill is possible, and spacing adopted is 22.5 centimeter to 22.5 centimeter with the top dressing of biofertilizers and vermicompost. We adopt the application of corner weeder in specific conditions, but it is not possible in some of the fields also. And as far as for pest management, we have developed biopesticides. So these are all done under the DST, Department of Science and Technology supported programs under CIKS. Next slide, please. So this is scientific approach which we have adopted for our own product development. So we start our lab experiments. We have our own laboratory where we rear insects, Spodoptera, mealybugs, and the beetles, Epilacna beetles, for conducting the biopesticide trials. And from that, we conduct pot experiments and then the field experiments. So based on these results, we conduct dissemination to training programs, and we set up the community enterprises. So this is the approach we have adopted. Next slide, please. Community vermicomposting. So as you know, vermicompost has been produced by the individual farmers, but here we tried as a community basis. So a group of women, 5 to 6 women come together, utilize a space, construct a shed where they accumulate the cow dung from their own cows, and they work for 1 hour or 1 to 2 hours in a day. A week they will be spending nearly 6 to 7 hours. So this type of community vermicompost units have evolved as a employment basis for the women groups. So this has been supported with the credit linkages with the local banks, and we have created market types with the local nurseries. Next slide, please.
I feel sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
please make it faster, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So these are some of the units that has been started with our initiative. Next slide. So this is the units Adamangalam and Alivilaram village. Next slide. As far as standardization, these are some of the steps have been adopted in our laboratory. Standardization of experiments. Next. Dissemination through training programs. Next slide, please. Next slide. We have developed neem oil soap flakes and pungam oil soap flakes as an alternative for the pesticides. 2 community units have been started in the year 2013, and it has been implemented now. Next slide. Next slide. So the mode of action has been documented, and the dosage, pest control, everything has been documented scientifically. Next slide. So this is the preparation method of the neem oil soap, which has been disseminated through the women groups. Next slide. This is our neem oil soap making unit. This is the total production in the year 2019, and the total acreage cover is around 340 acres. Next slide. As an impact, number of farmers in organic certified. We have both self-certified organic and third-party certification organic. So totally 370 acres, and average yield has been recorded. Average income that has been raised up to 8,000. So these community units have provided employment to the rural women. Next slide. As far as water conservation, in order to address the inland salinity issues, we have associated with the Department of Agriculture Engineering and started working on the foam ponds. As you are aware, all the agriculture engineers, so the use of foam ponds, we have dug nearly 40 foam ponds in our own farmers' fields in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture Engineering. Under a regular scheme, they have dug nearly 80 ponds, and under NABARD scheme, 70 ponds. So this is the rough foam ponds which has been created in Sirgari block. Next slide.
Please.
Next slide. This is the IFS model. Next. As far as biodiversity conservation, we have been involved in conservation of traditional paddy varieties. Next. So the traditional paddy varieties, we have documented the characteristics and we have disseminated through the training programs, distributed the seeds also. Next slide. So these are some of the experiments conducted in tsunami affected soils using the traditional paddy varieties. Next slide. Next slide, please. So, in fact, we have collected Kala Namak seed from eastern part of UP and tried in the tsunami affected soil in Sirgari block. Next slide. This is one of the another variety, Color Pale, which has been used. Next slide, please. I'm just concluding, sir. Yes, sir.
Please, yeah.
Yes, sir. Next slide, sir. So as far as traditional paddy variety cultivation, now from conservation, we have moved to the cultivation. So last 2 years, we have cultivated traditional paddy varieties in 800 acres, covering 3 districts of Tamil Nadu. So this is under the CIKS and Supraja Foundation support. 10 varieties have been distributed. Next slide. Next slide is about the irrigation structure. So we have, next slide. We have constructed one skimming well. This is a known technology to you all. So we have developed the skimming well technology in one of our village. Next slide. Next slide. This shows about the advantages. This is the picture of the skimming well formation where 1 acre water has been consolidated in a well. Next slide. So this is the photos about the skimming well. Next. Basically, this skimming well, the entire operation comes around 1,20,000. Next slide. So with the skimming well, we are able to support nearly 5 acres of organic groundnut feed. Next slide, please. So for community-based institutional approach has been adopted. 2 institutions have been formed as a scaling up of initiatives. One is our society, which is Sirgari Organic Farmers Association. Activities will be explained by Manigandan, and another is about the Valanadu Sustainable Agriculture Producer Company. Next slide.
Make it very short because we are already out of, people are leaving and it will be not good.
And as far as challenges, so we have consolidated the challenges in support with Vikas and Ways Foundation, Pune, and we have produced a publication also. In that, the major challenges have been documented. Next slide, please. So these are some of the challenges. Main one is the drudgery and the marketing. Marketing is the major issue in organic farming. Next slide, please.
Sorry to interrupt you. You have to stop now. You have to stop now.
Yes,
Sorry to interrupt you because we have no time for question and answer. At least people have to thank others. I mean,
yes, sir.
I think you have all
sir.
worked. You all have worked so hard, and I really feels very sad because the timing is limit. We already exceeded 15 minutes.
Okay,
probably next couple of minutes I'll give for questioning and then probably closing. Okay, that we need the time.
Actually, one Mr. Manigandan is there, sir. He may explain just 2 minutes, sir. He'll introduce because all the time he's been.
No, it's okay. I understand. Yeah, give me a minute, 1 minute, please.
Yes, sir.
ஹலோ வணக்கம் சார், என்னுடைய பேர் மணிகண்டன். நான் ஒரு நாகப்பட்டினம் மாவட்டத்தில் சீர்காழிங்கிற பிளாக்ல ஒரு ஆர்கானிக் ஃபார்மிங் கடந்த ஒரு 18 வருஷமா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் சார். என்னை பொறுத்தவரையிலையும் ஆர்கானிக் ஃபார்மிங்கிறது ரொம்ப சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக போயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஸோ நாங்கள் ஒருங்கிணைஞ்சு சீர்காழி இயற்கை விவசாயிகள் சங்கம் அண்ட் வளநாடு ஆர்கானிக் ப்ரொடியூசர் கம்பெனி அப்படிங்கிற 2 நிலையில உருவாகியிருக்கோம். ஸோ இதன் வாயிலாக நாங்கள் கிட்டத்தட்ட வந்து ஒரு 2700 விவசாயிகளோட எங்களால் வேலை பண்ண முடியுது சார்.
Thank you. Now can you please close the screen? Slide share, please.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Syed, you have to tell us what he said in Tamil in half a minute, in 30 seconds.
He is doing natural farming and he finds it very fruitful for him. And that's what he told. He's collaborating with the people, in short. And now I think you not close the presentation. Mr. Venkatraman, please close the presentation. Venkatraman, please close the presentation.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Is it clear now?
Yes, yes. Now, I would ask Professor Singh, any questions? We have time, couple of minutes, or we conclude. The option is, I would like to ask the seniors. Hello. Professor Gajendra Singh?
Question to everybody, anybody whosoever else.
Anyone. We have time for a couple of minutes because
I think Dr. Deshpande has many in the chat. He raised a number of issues. Dr. Deshpande, are you still around?
But time is limited. I think I will connect with Dr. Said Ismail and others, and we will sort out some of these questions. But
Okay.
their experience is enormous, and we will benefit from it. You see, our next item in our group's agenda is conservation agriculture. National policy for India. We need a national policy for India so that all states work under it. So that will be our great next initiative, Dr. Gajendra Singh. We need your help. We need your
We'll
help.
work with you. We'll work with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I shouldn't take much time. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Ajay Singh.
Yeah, please.
Just a simple question. Can we get this presentations or this recording to watch it later?
It is in YouTube. Live also going on. So I will edit it in the first 30 seconds and put it 30 minutes. Because started half. That I will do it. We'll do that for rest of the sessions also. First time we started. So I think this time actually it's a mistake to put too many speakers into a small window. But I think our objective basically is to expose the people to the what technology is in use now, how useful it is for India. And I think the farmers will bring it up instead of government making policies. I think the farmers will come to the level. Now, as we hear from two other farmers from two different states, I think we have to bring the farmers into the platform more and we should give them more time. I feel really very bad that I could not give time. I'm very sorry. I apologize very much. And I will next time take care of it. And I'll call you again. For both of you prepared so much, I'll call you one of the sessions on a specific topic that I guarantee. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Narendra Shah, who I know has worked with rural people as well as skilled tribes. He's done some work to conclude this program. Dr. Narendra Shah, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Syed. So in the other domains of science, engineering and technology, the last 10 years, I think the fraternity has been struggling as to how to deliver more from less for more. This has been a challenge even in other sort of domains, like using minimum resources. How do we? And that, I think, that's really challenge. I think one of the slides that was presented that India is representing only 1% of conservation agriculture, whereas the other countries are like 30%, Brazil, US, for example. Now, I mean, how do we synergize from the experiences of the community farming that were presented in Tamil Nadu, for example, and how do we sort of even progressive farmers and I think Professor Gajendra Singh, I still distinctly remember the case study which he presented in the class when I was doing my master's. He asked a question, but tell me, per usage of horsepower per acre, has it really contributed to the gains in the sort of productivity? And I think he again today emphasized that is what perhaps we need to really see, the sort of energy used. So in terms of horsepower per acre, does it really contribute? And I think here is a chance for us for the ISAE platform, is to how do we synergize this, concept of conservation agriculture, which really will go a long way. For example, see why, for example, in the whole international agriculture domain, even in our own agriculture universities, plant breeders were really considered as dadas, and because they contributed through grain revolution, and that was a larger impact. Now, is it possible, Dr. Indramani, that we, using the ISAE platform, how we can sort of engage these young engineers and ideas in education, which you started with, for example, to sort of create a kind of an impact that the plant breeders did earlier? Because and I think there is a scope, and there is sort of, the passion, I think, with which Dr. Syed mentions all the time to us, that, engineers have to sort of, and so how do we synergize this to sort of deliver more from less? So thank you, everybody. I think we really need to synergize from individual experiences, NGO experiences, governmental organization experiences, and really a good initiative. And we just need to address this challenge, going from 1% to at least 5% into 2025. Thank you, everybody. I think that was the job given by Dr. Syed to me.
Thank you, Narendra. I want to conclude with a few words. I think people tell me always conservation agriculture is not picked up in India, but actually it is. The question is the problem of pushing too much of fertilizer usage. That is the problem, I think, because you know that I recently, 2-3 days back, in the newspaper I read, 30% of Tamil Nadu land soil has been damaged in the last 20 years. This is a newspaper. Okay. And I also know how many silent problems we have. I know what is the problem we have in Vidarbha. They used to grow oil seeds, and there was no problem. Now we import maximum oil. So I think all the people in powers, maybe whatever, think a little bit. Conservation agriculture is the best, probably. We have issues with that. We have more issues with the other type of what we are brainwashed to believe it into green revolution, probably. I think because now we cross the stage, technology is, that time is okay. Now we have a lot of technology to produce, even with less fertilizer, like urban agriculture. So I thank really the farmers who have come and all the speakers. I have to apologize again to the farmers, both of them. Please come again. Next time we'll invite on specific topic. And all of you, please contribute. Tell us how to conduct it. We'll take all your advice, because our objective is only for dissemination of the idea. Think about conservation agriculture, nothing more. I would like last ending sentence from Professor Gajendra Singh.
Thank you, Syed. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Oh, well, I'm very happy that this is an excellent start for this webinar series, and bringing farmers, I think is going to be a big thing. We have to bring the farmers as many as possible.
Yes.
So the problems are clear, the challenges to us, whatever these are, and we work with them. So all the speakers were great. I think the whole program went very well, and we look forward to the next round. Thank you, Syed. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Yeah. Officially, program is closed, but you can chat with yourselves if you want for a couple of minutes.
Ajay, you have to be ready next time, okay?
I'm ready today also.
And don't make it too long. Make it.
I know. I have exactly 6 minutes.
Yeah. No. It should be a kind of a punch in the message.
Right.
So this is